What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Mason T and I am an importer slash product developer. Now, I've been on all of the major e-commerce marketplaces for over 20 years, eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Walmart, you name it. So although I have not done every single business out there in the world, I've done enough of them so that basically any kind of business that we're talking about, I'd be able to recommend every single thing that you need in order to become successful. So today, we're going to talk about how to start off a small business from home. In a previous episode, I did a eBay seller spotlight. And what happened was that it was a mom who got into slime making. Now, it's not even because she really wanted to. She stumbled on it because her daughter wanted some slime for her birthday. So the mom went online to go look around and then found that a lot of the slimes out there are very basic and they're kind of expensive. Could I do better? And she went out of her way with a willingness to learn. And then here we are today. She pivoted into slime making business. So we're going to talk about how you could do something similar as well. And today's lesson is actually going to be about bath bombs, right? So fellas, if I could go through all of the research to put this together, then you can at least sit through the video, okay? Because the purpose of this exercise is more about that entrepreneurial mindset more than anything else. It's the way I look at something. So today it could have been about candles, soap making, bath bombs, anything. And I would be able to tell you exactly how to put a whole framework together so that we could get a business, a successful one, up and running. So normally I want to say that we would never recommend stomping grounds like Amazon or Walmart for the beginner, because you just need a lot of cash flow in order to do that. The stomping grounds is usually always going to be between eBay and Etsy, but Etsy has a certain caveat to it because most of its audience is looking for handmade, crafted kind of things. So this is what's going to fall under the category of an Etsy-ish item, okay? So that's very important to keep in mind. When I jump on Etsy and I would just do a very simple search for bath bombs, right? This is the basic, the first page of results that we get. Now, what's really good about this is that it tells you immediately who its best sellers are. So these are your future competitors that you want to look out for. And as I always say in my research, right, you want to research things through the lens of the seller first. See what people are selling, see how they're doing, you know, their listings and stuff. Like they have videos on this one, there's no video on this one. This is actually a shower steamer, which is a slight variation of what a bath bomb is. We'll get into that later. But essentially what you got over here, right, is a pretty decent market, because when we open up a couple of these listings, I'm going to show you guys, right? What I love about Etsy is just like eBay, right? It tells you how many reviews that they have for the shop and how many reviews just for this particular item alone. So if you look 2025, you know, next page 2025, next page 2025, next page 2025, next page, you know what I mean? We're on page 8 already, okay? Page 10, well, a little bit too far, sorry. Page 8 over here, right? All the way. So starting from page 8, they have 8.5 pages of just 2025 reviews alone. These guys are doing pretty good, and this is the item that they're selling, right? So one thing that I'm not too crazy about is that how well this thing sells despite all of the names that they have over here, right? Like, I don't know, citrus ylang, like I have no idea what that's supposed to spell like, other than it maybe a little citrusy or something like that. But the point is, this stuff is what's selling because this is where all of the audience that looks for this kind of stuff goes first. Etsy first. It's not so much the other marketplaces, but this marketplace. So if you're going to, you know, use Etsy as your stomping ground, you got to do an Etsy-ish item. And I think bath bombs are an excellent thing to do right now in 2025. So I want to show you guys over here, right? Just somebody who's completely going through this as a business owner. So we're just going to watch this video together real quick.
I made my first bath bomb 5 years ago and it sucked. It was too soft and crumbled. It was just awful. I didn't give up though, and after hundreds of batches, I learned the right ratio of wet ingredients to dry ingredients. I learned what each ingredient did and added more or less of it to get the type of bath bomb I wanted. I invested in equipment that made my bath bombs look more professional. It was a long journey, but I'm glad I'm here. I made my first bath bomb
So essentially obviously we're going to need the equipment to do this, right? And we're also going to need the know-how. So let's just talk about the equipment first. When we jump on Temu, immediately you could just look for bath bomb press and stuff like that, okay? And it's super cool over here that like they have all these different kind of molds for it. So if you want to do your classic spherical, circular, ball-shaped ones, they definitely got you over here. But they have even more interesting ones that are like seashell shaped and Easter egg shaped and stuff to, you know, give it that extra kick. I think this is really cool right here when they did a yin and yang with the soccer balls. Okay, so over here I found this one, right, which was this they specifically marketed for a bath bomb press, but I already know that this is normally used to make Chinese pastries, okay? But I'll just show you this video real quick where they have this. So they set up the mold over here and then they put this press in and then they put it against the ground and then they go ahead and they press it out and then you have your shape, right? So you could make different kind of discs and stuff to market it, you know, your product a little bit more high end. So they also have different kinds of shapes, mold presses and stuff, and you can see that it's very cheap to buy these mold presses. Now all you need is the ingenuity and know how to put them all together. But even if you didn't want to make your own bath bombs, you could totally buy different bath bombs here that they sell in bulk on Temu, right? So over here, look, 102 piece bath bomb, 70 piece bath bomb and stuff, and then you could bundle them in different ways and then go back and then sell them on Etsy. So what I love about Etsy is, you know, all the bestsellers are here. So what I would definitely do is grab all of these bestsellers and then copy the title of every single item that they did and then try to find a pattern of the best keywords and stuff so that you know exactly how to position your item when it comes to title creation. I want to show you guys over here that, like, you know, there's tons and tons of tutorials on bath bomb. So I just typed in bath bomb tutorial over here and I just want to show you a little bit of what she's doing. So this is nothing but a plain old turquoise ball, right? But watch what happens.
Shrink wrap them and they will continue to dry in the wrapper. And then you want to cure them at least a week so they have time enough to dry so they float in the water.
Now she sparkles them like this. So they look like
so I mixed
planets.
a little bit of mica and alcohol here. I'm just gonna kind of drop it on there and then do a few little taps.
And there you go. We took a very simple turquoise ball and then we made it look like there's continents on it, right? So the question is, where do you get the mica stuff? Boom, here you go on Temu. I just typed in mica and then you get to buy it in sets of all sorts of different colors of mica to get you started immediately, okay? So the next thing that I want to show you is the people who are doing very well on Etsy. For example, there's this one, right, which is just says Etsy's picks. So when we look at the Etsy's picks on this one, okay, look at what's happening over here. They basically decorated this one that looks like Earth, this one that looks like Saturn and Jupiter, and then the rest for Mars, Venus, you know, Neptune, Pluto. It's just a straight up single color ball. So they only just like, you know, put a pattern on like 5 different balls and then just the rest of them is just a single solid color. And now there you go. You have the whole like solar system in the palm of your hands, right? Okay. For some of you out there who might be thinking, yeah, but these guys are too far along, right? Look at him. He's already got 364 reviews for this item, right? Calm down. Look, if we did more of a search, they're called Galactic Spa over here. I just want to show you their Instagram of Galactic Spa, right? Look at their followers. There's only 1,200 followers of these guys. They're not that far ahead of you. You know, so if you put your heart into the business and think of creative things as far as packaging and stuff, you could totally catch up to these guys, right? So definitely you want to get your basics down as far as watching different kinds of tutorials of exactly how to create this item. You probably want to buy a couple of bath bombs on the side so that the ones that you create are just as good of quality as the ones that you purchase, if not better. You could definitely pick up all the materials and the molds and stuff that you need from over here as well as from the tutorials, they would tell you exactly what the ingredients are. So it's basically going to be baking soda, citric acid, cornstarch, Epsom salt, stuff like that to put together, and exactly what all of the ingredients are. So I'm also going to throw up that, like, if we had to spend a little bit more time brainstorming, okay, I wanted to say that I went ahead and pulled up ChatGPT and then just ask a couple of questions, right? Because key questions is how you use ChatGPT, which is things like because I found some bath bombs that specifically had goat's milk in it. I don't like goat's milk, all right? So I said to it, okay, what are 20 other special ingredients that are not commonly used in bath bombs, but still, safe to use, right? For like sensitive skin or whatever. And then this is the results that I got, right? So I'll just leave that on the screen for a little bit. Now, the thing is that from here, we can ask all sorts of other questions, as well as what are some other common molds that are used in other industries that we could also use for our bath bombs in order to create special shapes. So this is exactly what I talk about in my free online course, right? Which is the idea of repositioning items from other industries over to your industry so that we are ahead of the curve as far as innovation. As we start to get better, a lot of these creators will start to tell you that, like, one of the best things about their businesses that took them to the next level is actually all about packaging. Because when you look at these photos over here, this one has really, really nice packaging, right? So how do we do packaging something like this? Well, I'm going to pull up this for you guys, right? And then if we do a quick search for packaging, right, you're going to find places like Uprinting and Pacola and Vistaprint for stuff like that. However, the thing is that this was just what's going to help get you started in the beginning, right? But as you take off and your business starts to do better and better, because really the execution of this product is kind of a no-brainer. Eventually, what do you do in order to, take it to the next level? I would definitely tell you to jump over to Fiverr. And when you're on Fiverr, you would go source something like a packaging designer, right? So find yourself somebody to design really, really nice packaging for you. Don't cheap out on this, right? And then they will give you back the files that you need in order to create this stuff. Take your files over to a company called Pack Factory, and then they will start to create, like, whether you want it to show up in tins or bags or, all sorts of interesting ways of packaging stuff. They can do that for you. Eventually, when all businesses start to get more and more successful, you need to consider scaling. And when you're talking about scaling, it usually means that you cannot meet the demand that's coming into your business. So I would recommend that you definitely hop back onto Alibaba.com to see if you can go ahead and communicate with them to transfer some of your recipes, the way you package stuff, send some samples over to them so that they can make it for you. Or even alternatively, just from the beginning, if you have the cash flow to play with this, then I would just order with them directly and then move the item over to Etsy after it's properly positioned. Because once you understand exactly how everybody else is selling this stuff, you know how to get the stuff and you know how to position it properly back into the market. So when we look at what they make over here, I just want to show you, right? So when you do a search like this, they have all sorts of bath bombs that are just as pretty as the ones that's being sold on Etsy. So I have found this one, which looks pretty nice. I'm just going to blow this up for you guys so you get a full screen look at it. And as well as the donut ones. Look how nice this one looks. They look like actual donuts and sprinkles and stuff. Now, another thing that I really wanted to share before we wrap this up, okay, is that this particular listing over here, and I really need to make this one completely full screen for you guys. So this one specifically says, okay, I'm going to blow this up. Uglies, oops, and extras. What does that mean? Okay, so it's a 25 pack for $50, and you'd be surprised, right? This thing has 719 reviews for this item, because ultimately at the end of the day, it still does the same thing. So these are not made as pretty, so they can't be sold as high, but imagine the stuff that you messed up on and you were originally going to throw out that you could still make $2 a piece on by bundling them in a 25 pack and selling them off for $50. So it's still worth your time to ship it out. And it's a pretty in-demand item, believe it or not. So what I really love about this industry, and especially this particular listing, is that there is an exit strategy for the failed item. So for any reason, okay, if you messed up on your bath bombs or something is no good, or you got a bad batch, you'd still be able to get rid of them, and there's still plenty of people who are willing to take them just for the functionality aspect of it. The key takeaway is always about the entrepreneurial mindset. It's not so much about exactly what the business is, but rather how you think and how you plan for everything that's going to lead to success. Anyways, guys, that is the video. Big shout outs to all of my subscribers who have stuck with me this whole time. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And if you learned something, as always, please consider subscribing. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next.